So without telling you more about what I do, let's start the introductions. I'll start here, just go around. Say your name, why you came tonight, tell everybody.
Okay, my name is Irene. I'm here to, well, bring my daughter. She's having her hands read tonight. I'm not. I've had numerous with her already.
I'm Charlene. I decided to come because I had my hand read about a year ago and a lot has happened in the past year, so I'm anxious to see what new and exciting things we'll see.
My name is Margaret. I had my hands read before and I'm here in support of my friend and a couple of other friends that are here tonight.
And my name is Margaret, and I came because my friend Margaret inspired me to see the thing. And I brought my son along because that's what I use him to see home.
Okay.
My name is Kimberly. I came, I guess, to just connect with new people and potentially hear something that is inspiring.
Do you know I'm going to tell you about your life purpose? Do you know that?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to tell you what your life purpose is, or at least as much as time allows.
Okay.
Is that interesting to you? I should hope so.
Yeah, a friend of mine was planning on being here, but she was sick, so I really don't know much. So it's kind of exciting to have no expectation.
Yeah. Well, you could be thinking about, what is my life purpose? Unless you already have a good answer for that. And we'll see what I say looking at your hands.
Okay.
Real good. Not just you, by the way. I'll be doing the same with everybody.
Yes.
Real good.
I'm Stephanie. I live here. But I chose to sit in the living room tonight because I actually feel like I'm at a big crossroads in my life with choices of what to do with the rest of it. So I'm very intrigued to see if you come up with something that sounds good.
Or it depends on what I see. Who knows what I'll find?
Yeah.
And the stuff that I find doesn't always appeal to the
Right.
person I am reading for, which is one of the reasons it's been an unexplored territory sometimes. But who knows what your hands will say?
I don't have an idea.
Yeah, if you want, but I won't have to guess. You'll bring your hands up here
Yeah.
in due course.
Carolyn, I came because Sandy was so enthusiastic.
Nobody can hear you by now.
Carolyn, I came because Sandy was so enthusiastic.
Okay.
Lois, this is Carolyn, and I had my hand read many years ago, and it was interesting, and I thought I'd come back and write down case. I learned more than that.
Okay.
I'm Carol. I'm friends with Stephanie and Roberts. I actually read poems many years ago. And because when I first had my poem read, it was so incredible. And so then I learned how to read poems. And then it became so real it actually scared me a little bit. And so I haven't done it for a while.
I
Powerful
see.
stuff.
Who was your reader?
Oh, a woman who was sort of post-Jungian psychologist in
What city?
Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo. Okay. I know most of the hand readers in the Western world, and I don't know a post-Jungian hand reader from Buffalo.
Well, she wasn't from Buffalo. She was visiting,
Uh-huh.
so I don't know where she was from. But it was
Okay.
a really long time ago.
Uh-huh. And I was reading hands a really long time ago as well. I've read about 60,000 pair of hands at this point. And I'm the founder and director of the International Institute of Hand Analysis. There was nobody to learn reading hands from back when I was interested in learning how to read hands. People who had classes posted, there was no internet back then, weren't hand readers. They were astrologers or tarot readers who were doing a hand course because it sounded like a fun thing for them to do, but they said, what's the difference? I could just do this and make stuff up and that'll be fine. And that's not what I'm doing.
It wasn't what she was doing either. She
Yeah.
had red hair.
Well, that helps me.
I never said that.
Nonetheless, in this half of the world, the western half of the world, hand reading has been largely ignored since the late 1500s when it became a capital offense in Europe, and still has not recovered from that point. In 1579, if you were a man of letters, you weren't supposed to be a person of letters yet if you were female, but if you were a man of letters at a university, no doubt you did study hand reading, as did the other men of letters. But at 1580. It succumbed to the culture wars that were going on at the time. And it's been largely just sitting in the scrap heap as far as the Western world is concerned, and it's a very powerful assessment tool.
What-
Very powerful.
What do you think of Kiros? Is that what you say?
Cairo. Yeah, Cairo was a famous hand reader whose book is a complete plagiarism from Heron Allen from 30 years earlier. But he's quite the showman. He's dead for a long time now, but he was quite the showman. And he made a big splash with his panache and did plagiarizing Heron Allen, who was a much better hand reader but a poor promoter. Real good. Sandy?
I'm Sandy, and I live very near here. And I also was in the class with Robert 32 years ago, the first time Richard ever presented the basic hand analysis intensive. I believe it was at our house.
It was.
It was. And I still have my workbook. And I took it 2 times more in the last 30 years. It's going to happen again this weekend, starting on Friday at 1 o'clock here in Bellingham. And I'm Richard Unger's organizer of all his classes, which include the basic hand analysis intensive, and the year-long program, and the 2-year-long program. And I've done the year-long program, and we're in the 2-year-long program. We're about to have another year-long program after this intensive. So we have people coming from all over to Bellingham as of tomorrow. We love Bellingham. We even had a guy come from Russia once to little Bellingham. So if you have any questions about the program, I'm happy to answer them. I'll stay till everyone goes and answer questions I can answer. And I have Richard's book here, and we have 15 copies of it. If anyone who wants to learn his system about how to read the life prints and life lesson, it's really brilliantly described in this book. And tells how he learned it, and it's one of these things you don't put down. So I welcome you.
Yeah, I'll be teaching people how to look at fingerprints this weekend. I mean, we'll be talking about our own lives and our life purpose and our life lesson. But I interpret fingerprints. And that's, and Cairo, by the way, did not do that, nor did Heron Allen didn't. Because that was too soon. The Western world didn't know about fingerprints until 1902. So that part was out. Nonetheless, that's a central piece of what I'm going to be looking at in your hands. And your fingerprints were complete by the time you were about this size, 5 months before you were born. And there's a picture in there of the person that it's possible for you to become in this lifetime. That's an interesting thing to consider. It's not a picture of your strengths and weaknesses, your proclivities. You don't have strengths and weaknesses yet. You're this big. The rest of your hand shape, the lines in your hands, those things keep changing. I don't know if you knew that, but new lines grow in, old lines grow out, etc. However, the fingerprints do not alter. You know that because you've watched TV during your life. You cannot change your fingerprints. So there's 2 different types of map that I look at when I look at your hands. The unalterable fingerprint map with a picture of an optimal life, an optimal destiny, if you will, an exalted possibility. Whether you're living that or not, the fingerprints are not going to budge. Whether you're living the exact 180-degree opposite, which is not a rare phenomenon either, your fingerprints are not going to budge. And as a matter of fact, you don't have to do anything. You can do anything you darn well please, more or less, kind of, sort of. But your fingerprints have a picture of what's possible for you and their meaning is in your particular case. And that is not an easy map to get to. There's all sorts of people who just kind of wake up with the idea. They know who they are, what they're doing. Oh, I haven't mentioned this for a really long time. You've heard me talk a million times. Have you ever heard me talk about Tom Jones?
Yes.
Oh, you know, you've heard all my stories. Nonetheless, he woke up at 5 years old. He said he knew what he wanted to do with the rest of his life. He wanted to sing in front of lots of people. And then, like, he's 100 million years old, if he's still on the planet. It says, I've had the best life ever. I always knew what I wanted to do and I did it, and I'm still doing it. Wow, how do you get that dream if you haven't had it yet? Interesting to consider. Okay. You have heard me talk about that. You've been everywhere,
I've been everywhere.
More intros.
My name is Susan, and I was at the fair here Saturday, and so I just stopped by and signed up on the email list and got an email about this, and so I thought, yeah, sure, I'll go. I had my hands read a few years ago by an older woman in Bellingham. She had red hair too, I don't know if it's the same one.
Yeah, that's what does it, you know, you start with the red hair,
Red
next
hair.
thing you know.
Oh, she explained a little bit. So I was interested because she would, you know, I met her a few times and she talked to me and she was really interesting, energetic old lady. I don't know if she's still around. Her name was Geraldine. I haven't heard from her for a while, so I don't know. But her daughter, I think, read lips. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Yes, I know a lot of different bio-identification systems. I've had my lips read.
So yeah.
That's an
so-
interesting one.
So she explained to me a little bit about what she did, and like her daughter's quite, I don't know, quite famous is the word, but I know she's been interviewed, you know, like on TV and
Mhm.
things. So she lives in Seattle, I believe. I never had a reading with her, so anyway, piqued my curiosity, so I had to
Okay.
show up.
Real good.
I'm Allison. I'm Susan's daughter. She's never given me a piece of bad advice, so I thought I'd tag along. with
Really?
her.
Good to know.
100%?
Yeah, she's pretty dead on.
Oh, wow.
Impressive. That was worth the price of
I'm
admission
going
right
up.
there.
You know it all already.
That's all I need to know.
Wow.
So, yeah, I find our unique personal imprint fascinating, and I've been kind of watching the lives of my poems grow and change over the years. So, it'd be interesting to hear what you have to say tonight, and maybe you'll help me find my life purpose.
Mhm. Do you have a handle on that?
Well, I feel more or less as though I'm heading in the right direction, but you know, my goals and, you know, destination changes pretty much all the time, so.
Yeah, this is a good time for me to mention that life purpose is much bigger than that. And I've been doing life purpose workshops and readings for a long time. And Oprah did a show on life purpose about 10 years ago. Bless her heart, cat is now out of the bag. People talk about life purpose, but they usually do not talk about the same thing that I'm talking about. And I'm talking about an inner directive that was in your hands before you were born. It's not something that necessarily attracts you. It is what it is that you came to do in this lifetime. And I was doing the one-day version of what we're doing tonight in New York a few years ago. And there was a woman, the only one in that group, who said, I know what my life purpose is, since mostly I was getting people saying, I have no idea. That's why I came to the workshop. And she said it has to be my art, because I'm an artist. I've been an artist for 2 decades, paying my rent here in New York, selling my paintings, which is pretty impressive by itself. And when I looked at her hands, she had the hand shape of an artist, and she had the Star of Apollo. Maybe I'll find one tonight. That's the highest creative marker that the hand knows how to have. And so certainly doing her art made sense. But her fingerprints had woman of influence as her life purpose. She was in a leadership-oriented lifetime. Leaders, she hates leaders. They're all evil, they're all bad, they do bad things, they're all, you know, she went on in her artistic temperament way about her anarchist inclinations. And I understand her reaction in that I've seen that umpteen times, because she was looking at her personality characteristics. I was saying before that there's 2 types of maps in your hand. The fingerprint map, which doesn't change, and then the lines and hand shape. That's your personality type. And she was identifying with that. She had her goals, she had her path in life, etc. She came to the workshop because there was still something else she couldn't get her finger on. There was a hunger for something. But what was it? Who knows? And I was suggesting it was exactly where she never would have even considered looking, which also allowed it to sit there that much longer. And this is not an unusual thing. There is maybe a quarter, a third of the people who have a life purpose which is counterintuitive to their natural inclinations. And then there are a bunch of other people whose life purpose makes exact sense and their life looks like exactly what their fingerprint picture is. They're living in that picture already. Good enough. I will look, I will report, you can come to your conclusions. Very good.
I'm Jane, and I've had a couple of readings with you already, and I always like to learn more, and so I'm here again.
Real good. And did I do a long format or only the readings in the circle with you?
Circle.
Okay, we're fine.